I'm just inspecting the car after Silverstone, so one thing I've noticed is this. So I've got a bit of damage on this undercover part here, where I remember it was at Chapel, just before Chapel, where the emergency road joins the track just before Chapel. I went down there and it went down with a bit of a clonk, and it looks as though this is what I've done. So what I did notice before I left for Silverstone, and now I can see it again here, is that I've got, you should be able to just see a slight leaking of oil, and I think it's coming from between the two halves of the gearbox. It's not coming out of the bell housing. I can't see any other place it's coming. At one point I wondered if it was coming out of the vent at the top of the gearbox, and just maybe I've overfilled it, but it's certainly full of oil, and it's not losing oil at any significant rate, because I did check the oil before I left for Silverstone. Also, the mechanics noticed it before the race and they cleaned it up. It's very slow. I mean, it's a tiny leak. You know, it'll only get like this after quite some time. But anyway, I need to fix that. I'm just hoping that I don't have to take the gearbox apart, because obviously that's a significant job. I couldn't find an obvious cause of leak in the gearbox, but I do think I might have overfilled it a bit. So I've drained out a very small amount. I think there's about 50 millilitres there out of 1.3 litres, I think it is in total. We'll see if that makes any difference. The other thing, of course, is if I leave it standing here, if it is weeping around the joint between the two halves of the gearbox, then hopefully it will start to leak out of that even while it's standing. Well, I say hopefully, I don't want it to leak at all, obviously, but if that's what it is, then hopefully it will do that. But I do have a feeling that I've overfilled it, and I think what's happening from tracking the oil towards the top of the gearbox is I think it's coming out of the vent at the top of the gearbox. Anyway, we'll see. One thing, this oil is quite dirty, as you can see. So what I'll do is I'll probably not change it until after the next race at Alton, and then I'll drain the oil out and put fresh in. A bit more on me dropping it off the edge of the track at Chapel. You can see there's mud there, so I take it that it dropped right down. And one thing I did notice, hopefully you can see that the bottom of the control arm has been ground away where the ball joint goes in. That could have happened at this race. I did drop it off the curb at Silverstone National earlier in the year, going around Luffield, and coming out of Luffield I went a bit wide and dropped it there, so it could be that, but I don't think it's done any serious damage. It's just you know, something worth noting. So other than the oil and the clonk coming down off the edge of the track, everything is okay. I didn't get hit, didn't even get any rubbing this time, although I had a few close calls, as you might have seen in the race video, but it's all looking pretty good. So just needs a wash. I'll clean the wheels up a bit because they've got a bit grubby, and I do need to check the front brake pads actually. I will do that, but I think we're good to go.